Hello and welcome back to Understanding Crypto. My name is Herve, and every other day here I try to bring you cryptocurrency in the easiest way possible on the internet. If you find stuff like this valuable to you, make sure to click that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any other value-packed video like this one. Now, today we're just going to brush up through every important stuff that has been going on in the market and also do some analysis on BTC, USD, USD, USDT, the stock market, that's the S&P, and BTC dominance and some other stuff, but we'll try to be as brief as possible. So this may not be a very long video. At least I hope it should not be, because sometimes I say that and the video turns out to be a very long one. Anyway, so yesterday I posted this. This was my article on the website vware.io. I post articles here. I write some articles, and I have some people who also write articles. And yesterday I was posting about how Bitcoin mining works, total Bitcoins mined, and what happens after 2140. This is the year that all the BTCs would have been mined already. Currently, we have about 94% of BTCs already mined. So just about 6% to go. So you can go and read this whole article. It's very interesting stuff that I wrote, actually, and you might find it to be very interesting to you. And here I have the news stream right here, where I have all the latest news popping up. Here we have SHIB team's biggest milestone recap shared by top SHIB executive, and we have other news that keeps popping up here. SEC released guidelines for crypto asset regulation. We have many news and important events popping up right here, and this is mostly where I get my news, this news stream section right here. Another thing that I did talk about, I think on TikTok and in the Telegram channel, was actually the BTC balance on exchanges. So here we have the latest buy, and this was actually some reassurance for me, particularly because I've been expecting some other bigger rally in crypto, and it's been unfortunate expecting something like that and seeing whales constantly dump BTC into exchanges. I mean, what other reason would they have to send their BTC into exchanges when, it's so unsafe? At least for large BTC holdings. So here they bought about, not really bought, maybe they had it from some time ago, but they sent about 50,000 BTCs out of exchanges, and that was some good news. Prior to that, they did send about 36,000 BTCs into exchanges, and here we had 33,000 BTCs out of exchanges, and here we had about 91,000 BTCs into exchanges. So it's been some move in and move out type situation on this stuff, but generally it's been going to the downside. Now it's important to look at this because it does show us if whales are accumulating or not. So if they are accumulating, then we would be on the idea that they expect some other bigger rally. If they are not accumulating, then it's much more likely that they are expecting a big dump. So so far the trend is downwards on this thing, which you can see in the green right here. So far it's good. Okay, another thing that I'm looking at is the Ethereum monthly returns. Now, I look at Ethereum a lot, not because I hold Ethereum, even though Ethereum makes up my largest holding in all my altcoins. I look at Ethereum mostly because it's really just through Ethereum that these altcoins are going to move. So if we do not see an ETH rally, these altcoins will not really move. Solana does move, and it doesn't really affect other altcoins much because, it does not have the most market share in altcoins. So that's why we look at ETH. If you go to the ETH BTC chart, you will notice that it looks a lot more like the Bitcoin dominance chart. So ETH is actually in control of most of these altcoins, both technically and both by liquidity. So most of their liquidities are backed by, are tied to Ethereum. That's why we look at ETH quite a lot. So here we can see that January, February, March, April were really bad months for Ethereum. January with a -1%, February with a -31%, and March here was -18%, and April -1.56%. But May we had a +40% move to the upside, which was really, really good. Now we have not fully recovered, but at least it's onto a good start in May. And May actually generally was a good month for Ethereum. June, not so much. We had an average here of -6%, but in May we had a plus 31% in by the average. So June, not so much, but May was generally a very good month. But perhaps we will continue in the green side since we've been in the downside here. Even January, that was supposed to be a good month historically, was not a good month for Ethereum. Even February, a good month historically, was not a good month. All the other months were historically good, and that's April and March, but they were not good for ETH. So perhaps the reverse is going to happen this time. We will look more into that as we go to ETH's chart. So Bitcoin trends, I was looking at this as well, and it's kind of unfortunate that when the markets are down, that's when people are the least interested. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. And this is actually when we make money, because when we invest now, we end up making money as the markets go to the upside. Yeah, people don't really pay attention now. You can see here, and this is in the past 12 months. Let's go to the past 5 years. So past 5 years, we can actually see that this thing has been trending to the downside here and only peaking when the markets actually go to the upside. It's kind of, it's interesting to me, because when the markets go to the upside, that's when people are the most interested. When the markets go to the downside, that's when people are the least interested. Literally opposite of how they are actually supposed to do. We can see that BTC is actually trending more in El Salvador, and that's what we would actually expect, because they have the Bitcoin tender there. It's also trending more in Nigeria. It's also trending in Austria, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. Interesting. It's not really trending in America because of some problems with tariffs, perhaps. The tariffs have actually messed us up in a way, but they are going to bring us money over time. In the next coming months, we are going to start seeing those things do well for us. Okay, so let's go now to USD. That is the dollar. That is the dollar, DXY here. And we can see that this thing has been dumping for the past couple of months. So since January, this thing has been dumping. Since Trump took office, this thing has been dumping. So is this good or bad? Well, it's good for US manufacturing, because when your currency drop, it's an incentive for other countries to want to buy your products. When your currency is high, well, that means that the exchange rate from their currency to your currency will be higher, meaning that they will lose some money by trying to buy your products. So this is generally good for US manufacturing, and it's also good for us. Yeah, because when US manufacturing is booming, well, more jobs, meaning more people have money, meaning perhaps more people have some change to put in crypto. So that's the way I see it. And this is actually good for us. You don't need, you don't want a very high currency, and you don't want a very low currency, but around this level is good. But I think the dollar is still going to drop. Yeah, I think it's still going to drop. It's not really done. If we go to the weekly right here, because this is the daily, I'm beginning to read this as a B wave right here. This particular move to the upside here, I'm beginning to read this as a B wave. So this thing will end up somewhere around 92 or 93. Yeah, that's where I expect this thing to eventually go. Of course, you will have a retracement up. It's not immediate, but I think the dollar is still going to have a bit of a move to the downside. Trump is talking about fairness and all of that stuff, which will be good, because some of these countries actually manipulate their currencies and they steal IPs. That's true. I know a friend who actually told me about that from China. So yeah, I know a bit about that stuff. Anyway, let's go to the S&P 500. I actually have a prediction for the S&P 500. The last prediction I made for the S&P got materialized. We were talking about the S&P 500 going to somewhere around 5,000, and we made that prediction when the S&P was at about 3,800. So somewhere around here was the time when we made that prediction, and the S&P 500 already materialized that prediction. We also had ideas for 6,000, but we did not have some concrete analysis at the time, so that already happened. Now my idea is that the S&P will eventually go to 7,000. The ideas could be around 9,000, but 7,000 is where we can prove. Now, this stuff that I had here for Trump and for Biden. So drawdown for Biden here was 27%. Drawdown for Trump was 21%. But everybody was talking, oh, Trump, 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 Trump. Now, you don't need to like the guy or hate the guy. We are just here looking at facts and analyzing them. We don't really, this is not about liking or hating anybody. I mean, I don't hate Biden. He did some very good things as well. And at the very core, I think Democrats do see some problems, but my own idea is, or my own way, or the way I see it is, they may not have the best solutions to those problems. Yeah. So at the very core, they see some real problems that some people face, and they don't necessarily have the best solutions for them, but at least they have some solutions, but not just the best solutions, in my opinion. Republicans, on the other hand, fight the solutions that Democrats bring and don't accept that those problems that Democrats bring forward are real, if that makes sense. Anyway, we're not here to talk politics. Yeah, I have a friend of mine who is a staunch Democrat. And each time I talk to her, she's like, I can't sleep. And I'm like, why can't you sleep? She said, I keep hating on Trump. I just want to. And I'm like, hey, he's just a politician. Sleep. Anyway, so yeah, when this dropped here by 21%, everybody was like, oh, Trump. But Biden also had about a 27% move to the downside. And this was not big news about Biden. Everybody was blaming Trump here for tariffs. It would have dropped anyways. That's just the nature of the market. The markets move like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like this. It doesn't matter what you do here. And really, this is just the way it works. It will drop and it will go up. It's just the nature of the markets. Nothing goes up forever and nothing will go down forever. Well, of course, except it's some type of rock pool or something. But a big market like this, like the S&P 500, it will not go up forever and it will not go down forever. That's just a fact. Yeah. Except it's a Ponzi scheme like the tulip bubble. I did actually make a video about the tulip bubble here. And the title of the video was the biggest bubbles and how they burst. I talked about the tulip bubble and some other bubbles that burst. And yeah, there was actually somebody who commented in that video that what if Bitcoin is just another bubble like some of these other bubbles? Yeah, and well, maybe it is. Who knows? But I do not think it is. I think Bitcoin is here to stay. I don't think there will be a day where, we all BTC dumps to zero and nobody wants to buy it, because dumping to zero actually means that nobody at all would want to buy it. And in some cases, even if somebody wants to buy it, it still continues to dump because of the network or say the project architecture like Terra Luna. But in other cases like BTC, I don't see it going to zero. And no, I just do not see it. Anyway, so yeah, the S&P 500, I think it's eventually going to go to 7K. I don't know if that will be the exact top, but this is the zone where we will have to cover this thing again. And the importance of this S&P index is that, well, if we're expecting a big rally in crypto, you want the markets in general to favor that type of movement, yeah? So if the S&P is showing us that it's going to go down by maybe 20-40%, you can't be on the idea that BTC is just going to go up, magically go up, yeah? So we are mostly bullish on the S&P here. Anyway, let's now go to USDT dominance. So USDT dominance is going to show us a couple of things. So in my last video, which was a long time ago, after I made that video, I, was resting and on vacation and stuff, and then got sick, and then had to spend some time off social media entirely. I lost about 3 kilograms in my illness. Man, it was terrible. I couldn't even move. I lost my voice. It was really terrible for me, honestly. And yeah, but thank God I, survived. So here in my last video, we were actually talking about this movement here. And in that video, we were still in this particular weekly candle. And I was saying that I'm not too sure that USDT will just start to crash, because we had the 2.618 right here, 2.618 of the entire movement to the upside, yeah? And after the 2.618, of course, you'd expect a move back to the downside. And that is what we are currently witnessing right now. Now, what I did send on Telegram was that we have two zones where we will most likely have some support on USDT dominance. And after that support, of course, you'd have a resistance zone on BTC. The first support was the 0.618 right here, and the second support was the 0.786. So 0.786 would be in yellow, and 0.618 would be in yellow as well. So these were the two zones that we were expecting USDT dominance to come down to. I can't say for certain that this thing has completely bottomed. I think it's still going to move to the downside, because this 0.786 was actually the strongest zone for this thing. But in the macro, or say from the macro picture, this thing needs to put in a new lower low right here. We can see that the trend has just been to the downside ever since we came to this zone right here. This is where we hit our bottom, that's market bottom in crypto, and since then it's been trending to the downside, putting lower lows and lower highs. So for now, we have not had any reasons to believe that the trend to the downside has ended. I think it's still going to go to the downside and put in a new lower low right here. Perhaps that is when we actually get that explosive phase in crypto. Yeah, perhaps that is the time. You could also see this as a descending wedge. And that descending wedge would actually mean that you will not have that type of, meteoric rally on BTC. So you have something that looks a lot more like so. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you have a move that takes off this line here. That could also be another scenario, or you have a scenario where it actually just comes straight to the downside. This would actually be the scenario that I would expect, but we will be tracking. Yeah, we will be tracking so that we know what's going on. So we have these scenarios, and then we see what happens and adjust to what's going on. Yeah, but at least before anything happens, we have some scenario of how it's going to play out. So that's it for USDT dominance. I'm still expecting a move to the downside on this thing. Yeah, I will still be expecting a move to the downside. I don't believe it's done. I would be expecting a move here. Even this ascending wedge needs to have its low, needs to have the support zone at the bottom of the wedge right here. So we are going to see what happens on that stuff. However, there's one thing that I will point out soon on BTC as we go to BTC, and that is actually something that I'm expecting to happen today, Sunday. So let's quickly go to BTC then. BTC USDT. Okay, so on BTC, there are some things that we have to understand, and let's quickly, do like a recap of where we are or how we got here. Yeah. So BTC, we had the move to the downside here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we had the 1. Then this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. Now 5 can be as high as 1 or as high as 3. If it's as high as 1, then this thing will be going from here to here. Then this will be it. Apparently it's not as high as 1. And then if it's as high as 3, then this thing will be going from here to here to here. That's giving us 147. This is purely of the Elliott wave idea that the 5th wave can be as high as the 1st or the 3rd wave, yeah? Okay, but according to Fibonacci, we went to the 0.786 right here, had a bit of a retracement because of the zone. Then we went to the 1.618 here. 1.618, let's put that in yellow so that it's clearer. Okay, 1.618, then we were supposed to come back to 0.786. This is my own Fibonacci method that I already showed you here. I actually made a live video explaining this, my strategy and how I follow it. Okay, so after 1.618, we're supposed to come back down to the 0.786. So that means that after the 72K right here, where we topped out here and we narrowed down to, we were coming back to the downside, we were supposed to come down to the 0.786. Now, the reason why we ended up pointing out that this would have been the bottom right here is because, let's go to the daily time frame and show that quickly. Daily time frame. Okay, so daily time frame, we will see that we had 3 consecutive drops right here. So was it the daily or the weekly? It's actually the weekly. Why are we on the daily? All right, good. Yeah, it's the weekly. So here we have 3 drops to the downside. So first drop was this one right here, second drop was this one, and third drop was this one. Now, according to our Fibonacci technique, when we have the third drop or the third pump, it's supposed to meet with a significant Fibonacci level. In this case, that significant Fibonacci level was supposed to be the 0.786 Fibonacci zone. So you can actually just get that from taking this from here to here. So that will give you somewhere around the 2.618. Yeah, 2.618. So it was actually supposed to come as low as the 2.618, not just the 1.618. So if you go to the candles there, you will see that we had this long candle to the downside. That's actually coming down as low as this one. This wick right here was supposed to come as low as the 2.618, but it did not. Why, you might ask? Because of USDT dominance. So let's quickly go there and show you why it did not go there. This is important so that you understand exactly where we are, by the way. Where was that? That was somewhere around here. Yes, that was somewhere around this particular move right here. So here is where we hit 72K, yeah? Quickly go back to BTC. We hit 72, that was 72K, yes, here on the 11th of March. So let's quickly go back here and we show you that move. So 11th of March, yes, here. So if you invert the chart like so, you will see the three-wave move to the downside. So this is the first wave right here, first move to the downside, second move to the downside, and third move to the downside. Now, if you take this like so, if you put this in line chart and you take this from here to here, this third move to the downside should coincide with the 2.618, and there we have that with the 2.618. But on BTC, that did not happen. So you see why sometimes I talk about missing out on some trades, because you'd have the idea that BTC should go to a particular level, but USDT goes to that level without BTC reaching there, even though USDT or BTC is supposed to be the inverse of USDT. So after the 2.618 right here, this is on the 5th of August, yeah? 5th of August, we will go to BTC and see how it coincides there. So 5th of August, we have this big move to the, it's actually upside on USDT because we inverted the chart. So 5th of August, we had this big move to the upside. And after that, we now have the lower high where we start now to move to the downside. But it's important to note the 2.618 right here on USDT dominance. So we quickly go back now to BTC, USDT, and on the 5th of August, this now is the 5th of August, and you will see that on that 5th of August, BTC did not reach its own 2.618. So after this is when I started to tell you around here, around 53K, I made a video telling you that this lower high, this higher low right here, this higher low right here might have been the last move for this entire drawdown here, which means now that we will go above, or we will retest the 1.618, and if we close a weekly candle above this 1.618 is where now we will be targeting the 2.618. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So BTC now moved up to the 2.618, and then after the 2.618, again, we start the moves to the downside. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Again, if you use this on USDT, you will see exactly why it did not come back to this 1.618, because USDT did that already. It keeps doing that. And the funny thing is, it's not like it does that always, so that you can actually have like an absolute measurement to it. No, sometimes it will actually, BTC will actually reach the 1.618 and USDT will actually reach its own 1.618. So it's confusing and just makes the whole thing difficult. And it's like you should be watching USDT to take a trade. Yeah. Anyway, so now after this move back to the downside, we now expect that when BTC goes back up to test that 2.618 and closes a weekly candle above that 2.618, now the weekly candle has to be like a full body candle like this one, or this one. So you see the full body candle closing here on the 0.786. This is a full body candle, and it means strength for this thing. So when we come back here, we see the same thing here at the 1.618, but here we did not really get that, which is why I was I actually posted on Telegram that we closed above the 2.618, and I said, should I call it? Because I was in doubt, and honestly, I'm still somewhat in doubt. Because it's not really showing us some strength here. We need some power to this close, but it's still a close. Yeah, objectively, it's closed above the 2.618. So what should ideally be the next step, assuming that yes, we've closed and yes, we should just go to the upside? Yeah, well, the next level, according to this macro Fibonacci, by the way, we will come to the micro. According to this macro Fibonacci, the next level should at least be about 150. Actually, it's 154, but it should be 100 and at least 150. That extends to as high as 170 to 175. I just say 170 because it's the 4.618. So this is the level where this entire macro Fibonacci that we've been using, the 0.786, 1.618, 2.618, that ends at the 4.618 to 4.764 here at 170 to 175 respectively. So that's where it ends. It's not to say that that's the absolute BTC can ever go. It's just to say that after this level, according to this particular Fibonacci, we don't have any more levels to the upside. After that level, it's done. So after that level, you could have a move to the upside by, I don't know, by 50% perhaps, or 100%. But that could quickly come back down, and that would have been it for the bull market. Now, if you use this other strategy where you take from the beginning, or say the top of the last bull market to the bottom right here, that will give you somewhere around 300 and something K, I think, or 200 and something K for the 4.618 to 4.764. That's actually 261 to 269. So yeah, that's about it. But I don't really trust this particular strategy. Yeah, I don't really trust it. But it can happen. It can happen. But I'm not so much a fan of it for this particular measurement. So, but you see that the 2.618 right here actually gives us that at least zone. Yeah, so that's where we get the at least zone. So when we go there, that would be when we have to start looking sideways, looking each side and seeing who is coming, or if whales are starting to dump their stuff. Let's extend this to the right. Okay, so you see that BTC is actually above resistance zone right here. And that's where I got this line that I drew here. I drew this line from that 1.618. Where is this thing? Okay, so yeah, so that is the at least zone for BTC. We also have 131, but as soon as we go above these levels right here, I would assume that the altcoin season should have been in full force at that time, because this last move to the upside is the euphoric phase of the market. So that's pretty much it for BTC macro. I will be making another video perhaps tomorrow for the BTC micro, like going to the 4 hourly and 2 hourly, but I don't like making those videos in this macro type videos, because price can move very quickly. And when I make a video and I'm saying, all right, I think it will bounce here, I'll post it like 2 hours later after the editing and all of that stuff, and then what I was saying that will happen has already happened. So it's kind of needless when you do that. That's why I focus a lot more on the macro, and when I want to make those types of videos, I'll isolate them into a single video and make like a 4 or 5 minute or perhaps 7 minute long video where I can just post readily after I make it. So I will be making a micro type or micro analysis video soon, perhaps tomorrow, and hopefully I will be making it tomorrow for you. We will be analyzing and following price wherever it goes. By the way, if you guys have an idea of what type of audio audio, I think it's audio interface, goes well with Shure SM7B, let me know in the comments. If you have ideas about that, let me know what the best one is. I bought the Shure SM7B, and I've seen everybody using it, and I thought, oh, maybe it's good. So yeah, I got one, but I don't know what audio interface is best for it. I've seen some reviews, but I still cannot, I don't know which one is exactly the best one for it. But if you have ideas about that, let me know in the comments. So BTC dominance, this is another thing that we've been struggling with for the better part of the past 3 years or so. BTC dominance, this thing, I don't know, at this point it's like I should get into this chart and physically push this thing to the downside, because what we're expecting here is very simple. We are on the idea, well, at least we can no longer forecast that it goes higher. We don't have any more levels or anything. We don't have those things. Yeah. And in this last cycle right here, when we use the same strategy, it gives us this particular level as the top. Now, it's important to note that the 2.618 right here was not the exact top. So it did not just top out at the 2.618 right here. It actually went above it, and a couple of times actually, and that may be what we are currently seeing here. So I have this box here, and this is the zone that the analysis would suggest that BTC dominance stops at. There are some people who say 70%, 75%. It is possible, but I don't have any analysis to prove that. And I've not seen anybody who even shows me any analysis to prove that as well. It's easy to just give numbers. It's difficult to provide evidence or some type of backtested analysis that you can use to suggest a particular zone. Yeah. Anybody can say BTC to 500K, BTC to whatever level, but showing why you think it's going to go there, yeah, that's where many people fall short. And this zone here is where I believe BTC dominance should top out from. I have no other levels to the upside. Even the 3 fib right here, which is usually my error margin zone. So when I use my levels and I put something like so, the 3 fib, which let me just quickly show you this. So when I have price do something like so, come to the 1.618, go back to 0.786 and come to 2.618. If I take a trade at the 2.618, my stop loss is below the 3 fib, because going below this 3 fib is an indication that it's going to go down even further. Sometimes it will not go further, but the error margin is exactly below the 3 fib. Not at the exact 3 fib, but somewhere below the 3 fib. You should also relate that to past price action. So perhaps there's a wick somewhere here. You would want to put your stop loss somewhere around here. So, but I use the 3 fib as my error margin. Sometimes you'll have price quickly come down, perhaps not even reach it, or reach exactly the 3 fib and go back to the upside. But I use the 3 fib as my error margin. So even in this particular situation, I don't have any more levels to show you or suggest that price is going to go. I don't have any more levels. If we take this from the peak here to the bottom here, you will see 66% for the 0.618, 0.786, Still, it's very close to that because the 3 fib right there is 65%, 65.73, and 0.786 right here is 66%. But the entire idea of this thing going to the upside was not based on this particular fib projection. So perhaps some people take this from the upside to the downside here, or from the peak to the bottom, and say it's going to 66%. But anywhere inside this zone is where I think this thing tops out from. I don't have any more levels somewhere up here. I can't. I mean, anybody can say that it will go there, but I don't have those levels. This is the most I can see for this thing. That brings us to Ethereum BTC. Now, note how this chart looks like. So if we invert it like so, you will see that we had some peaks around here and then a big move to the downside. Yeah. If you go to ETH BTC, it's the exact same thing. So ETH BTC comes up, and let's invert the chart like so. You have some peaks around here. And a big move to the downside. That's for ETH BTC. Now, I got to admit though, ETH BTC did go lower than I suggested. I had some levels here, even revised it to this 1.618, and this thing still went even lower than that. Now, after that, this thing has then moved up by about 47%, which is actually the highest it's done since 2022. So since September of 2022. It's been a horrible year for Ethereum, or say cycle in general for Ethereum and altcoins, honestly. It's been mind-blowing. It's just been going lower. I even started to do some research as to why that happened, and I will talk about that in a minute. But after this 1.618 for Ethereum, what we would be expecting is a move to the 0.786. So the analysis that, or say the idea that it goes back to 0.786 would still actually tie with this thing. So I'd expect it to still go back up here. Recently, Vitalik Buterin, and I actually had an article for that here. I had an article for that news. So Ethereum actually unveiled their new Ethereum Foundation. Anyway, they unveiled their new policy, and I had some highlights to that. So the first thing is, instead of selling ETH, they are going to actually stake the ETH that they hold. So some of the ETH anyway, they're going to stake about $1 billion worth of Ethereum, and they will use those profits for funding project and ecosystem stuffs. And another thing that they are going to do, which will drastically impact price, will be borrowing. And when I was reading and writing this article, I started to wonder why they are doing it now. These are things that they could have done a long time ago. So they will be staking some ETH or wrapped ETH on Herve, which will be good for Herve. Yeah, it will be good for Herve, and it will be good for Chainlink. They'll be staking some ETH on Herve, about $2 million worth of ETH, and taking a stable coin for that. That way, they don't sell ETH, they actually borrow stable coins and stake wrapped ETH. Really good stuff. You may want to read the article here. So Ethereum Foundation unveils treasury policy. You may want to read the article. Perhaps I'll leave it in the comments or in the description of this video. Very important article, and how it's going to affect the price both positively. It's mostly positive, and somewhat negatively. I say somewhat because I had bearish or neutral right here, and it's the only part of this update that I think could be in the middle. Most of it is just bullish. This is bullish. This is also bullish right here. So reduced selling, increased demand from ecosystem growth, boosted market sentiment. It's going to be bullish, all of this. Them selling ETH, they've been selling ETH all this time. So 2024, they sold ETH. They sold about $4 million worth. 2023, they sold about $2 million worth. Why didn't they just take ETH instead of selling ETH, and this time they want to stake instead of selling? Why didn't they do that before? I mean, anybody could have been like, all right, this is actually what we should do, but they did not do it. So that's about it for Ethereum BTC. When this thing starts to move up here, ETH is going to move up drastically. It's going to pump big time. and it's going to be good for all altcoins in general. All altcoins, anything tied to Ethereum, or some of them not even tied to Ethereum, that are competitors, are going to move. Solana is going to move, Cardano, Polkadot, all of these things are going to move, and that will affect their own ecosystems as well. So that's pretty much it, folks. I will be doing shorter updates, like shorter videos. But this video was just meant to be like a recap of where we are most likely going, what has been going on, and what's most likely going to happen in the future in the macro perspective. So for the next videos, I will be going more in depth, and I will even look at some particular altcoins or some particular tokens and stuff, or some particular news events and stuff. But for now, that is mostly it. I hope this video was not too long. That's actually 47 minutes, but when I edit it, it will be shorter. I think it will be like 30 minutes perhaps. Yeah. But that's about it, folks. I will see you in the next one. I am fully back now. Yeah, and we are going to be seeing each other very soon. But until then, stay safe.